Welcome everyone. Today we shall continue with the lesson the flower, and student, this is part 2 video of this lesson, class 9 biology for ICSE curriculum. Okay, so our today's topic is sexuality in flower. So let's study about it. Alright, so student, first we shall study about sexuality in flower. So according to the sexuality in flower, the flowers are classified into following types. So first is a male or staminate flower, second one is female or pistillate flower, and third one bisexual flower, and fourth one is neuter flower. So let's study one by one about this. Okay, so student, the anthers of the filament produces the pollen which forms the male cells or male gametes. Okay, so student, in previous video we have seen that the male reproductive part is a stamen, and the stamen contains two parts, that is anther and filament. Okay, so anther produces the pollen grains, and these pollen grains helps in the process of pollination. Okay, so these pollens are nothing but the male cells or male gametes in a flower. Okay, so here you can observe the structure of a stamen, in which you can observe the bilobed or two-lobed anther and a long filament. Okay, so and inside the pollen sacs, the pollen grains are present, which are the male cells or male gametes. So these are the pollen grains. Okay, and the ovary of the carpel, which is a female reproductive organ. So the ovary of the carpel bears the ovule, which encloses the egg cells or female gametes, and the stamen and the carpels are the male and female parts of our parts respectively. So here you can observe a flower in which clearly you can observe the pistil and stamen, out of which stamen is a male reproductive part, and pistil which contains ovary, and it will produces egg cell or female gamete. So this is the ovary. Alright, now let's first study about the bisexual flower. So what is it? So student, it is a flower which contains both stamens and carpel, that is male as well as female reproductive organ, is called as a bisexual flower, or it is also called as a hermaphrodite flower, which contains both the reproductive organ, male as well as female. Okay, so this is a bisexual or hermaphrodite flower, and examples we have is hibiscus, rose, lily, and tomato. So these all flower contain male as well as female reproductive organ. That's why these are the bisexual or hermaphrodite flower. Okay, now next is a unisexual flower. So student, it is a type of a flower which has only one of these parts, that is only the stamen, that is male part, or only the carpel, which is a female part, is called as a unisexual or incomplete flower. So it is a flower which contains only either male or female reproductive part. This is called as a unisexual, and as it is unisexual, it is also called as an incomplete flower. Alright, and example we have as a papaya. So this is a papaya flower, and palm. So these are the example of unisexual. They will have either male or female reproductive organ. Alright, now next is a male and female flower. So what is it? So these are the unisexual flower which contains only the stamen, is called as a male or staminate flower. Okay, so the flower which contains the male reproductive part, it is called as a, or stamen, it is called as a male or staminate flower, and a flower which contains only the carpel, that is a female reproductive part, it is called as a female or pistillate flower. Okay, so here you can observe the pumpkin flower. Okay, so here this side is a female, it contains a female reproductive organ, so it is called as a female or pistillate flower, and this contain stamen, so this is called as a male or staminate flower. Alright, now next type is a neuter flower. So what is it? A flower in which both male and female reproductive organs are lacking. These are the neuter flower. That means in this flower, male and female reproductive organ are not present. So this is called as a neuter flower, and example is ray florets of a sunflower. Okay, so this is a ray florets of a sunflower, which is the best example of a neuter flower, in which pistillate, these are the pistillate but sterile. Okay, now next let's study about the general description of the floral parts. Okay, so floral parts we know sepal, petals, and pistil, and stamen. So these are the main four parts of floral parts. So let's study one by one. Okay, so first floral part is a calyx, and it is also called as a sepals. So student, usually there are 5 sepals and sometimes they may be less or in few cases even more, and this is a calyx. So usually there are 5 sepals are there, and sometimes they may be more or less are present in the flower, and the sepals may be freed and the sepals which are free, it is called as a polysepalous, and the are fused. So if the calyx or sepal is fused in fused form, it is called as a gamosepalous. Okay, so these are the two types of sepals. Here you can observe the example in hibiscus. It is a gamosepalous. Gamosepalous means fused sepals are present, and in open or free in rose it is a free sepal. So this is the example of a polysepalous. Okay, and sometimes in hibiscus, as in hibiscus there may be a second series of a sepal, so it is called as a episepals. Okay, so this is the episepals, and collectively it is called as a epicalyx. And when the flower opens, the sepals may fall off or persist, and sepals are usually green, but in some cases they are brightly colored, called as a petaloid sepals, and as in case of a gulmohar where they are red. So in gulmohar the sepals or calyx are red in color. Okay, and student, the sepals protect the young flower bud, and when green sepals are present in the flower, so what happened, they also perform photosynthesis. So this is all about the calyx. Okay, now next floral part is a corolla or petals. So student, this is a corolla part of the flower, and the petals are generally arranged in a single whorl, but sometimes there may be a double whorl. For example, in case of a poppy flower, so these are the double whorl of a flowers are present, or they may be arranged spirally in case of a water lily. So in case of a poppy flower, double whorl are present, and in case of a water lily, they are spirally arranged. Okay, and petals may be free. So when the petals are free, it is called as a polypetalous, or when it is united or fused, it is called as a gamopetalous, forming a tube-like corolla. Okay, so here I have shown some picture of different forms of a corolla. You can observe the tubular corolla, and different types of a corolla are there. Okay student, our next floral part is Endoscium or stamen. So this is a male reproductive part. Okay, so here I have shown a picture of a flower in which you can clearly observe the stamen or androecium, and androecium or stamen contains two parts, it is anther and filament, which is also filament is an elongated tube-like structure. Okay, so the number of a stamen in different flower may vary from a few to a large number, and each stamen consists of a two part, that is a long filament and anther attached to its extremity. And this is a structure of a stamen, and the anther is usually two lobed. That means it is also called as a bilobed anther. Okay, so this is a picture of an anther, and this is a section of a, if we cut the anther into a section, we can clearly observe the pollen sacs, and inside the pollen within the pollen sac are contained pollen grains, and when fully matured, the pollen sacs rupture to liberate pollen grains, and the pollen grains are generally powdery particles of different shapes and sizes. So pollen grains are powdery in nature. Why? So they can be easily carried away with the help of a different pollinating agent, which helping in the process of a pollination. Okay, so student, the pollen grains are generally powdery particles of different shapes and sizes, and here I have shown a picture of a different shapes and sizes of a pollen grain. So according to the different flower, different size and shapes of a pollen grains are present. So these are the different types of pollen grains. Okay, so student, in Endoscium, stamens may be free. Stamen may be free or joined and organized in a single, double, or several groups. So let's study the different types of stamen. Okay, so this is a cohesion or joining of a different stamens in a different forms. Okay, so first is a monadelphous, that is, the stamens are united in one group by their filaments. For example, China rose and cotton. So here this is a monadelphous stamen in which the stamens are united in one group by their filament. Okay, so you can observe the one filament is present, and there are different types of different kinds of anthers are attached to this. And second type is the diadelphous stamen, and in diadelphous stamen the filaments are united in two bundles. For example, in pea flower, and out of 9 stamens form a staminal tube with the one is free. So this is a structure of a diadelphous stamen. And third is the polydelphous stamen. So in polydelphous stamen, the filaments are united in several groups, example bombyx. Okay, so this is a structure of a polydelphous stamen. Okay, so here there I have shown different examples. So this is China rose, this is example of monodelphous stamen, okay, in which the filaments are elongated in shape. And second example, this is an example of a didelphous stamen, that is a pea flower. And third is the example of a polydelphous filament, that is bombyx, which are in which the stamens are present in several different groups. Okay, now next is the gynosium, carpal or female reproductive part. So this is a fourth part of a fourth floral part. So student, it is also called as a carpal. Okay, so this is a gynosium part in which you can observe the stigma, style and ovary, and inside the ovary ovules are present. And gynosium is also known as a pistil, and it is composed of one or more carpals, and each carpal consists of a three part. It is stigma. This is stigma, and this elongated tube-like structure, it is called as a style, and bulging cup-shaped structure, it is called as a ovary. Okay, and first stigma is the terminal knob-like part. It may be divided into two or more lobes and may assume a feathery appearance. And the stigma is covered with a hair or granular papillae, so that granular papillae, and it serves as a landing place for the pollen during pollination. So what is the pollination? It is a process of transferring of pollen grains from the male anther of a flower to the female stigma of a flower. Okay, all right, and it serves as a landing place for pollen grains during pollination. Okay, now next is a style. Okay, so this is a ovary, and style connects the stigma to the ovary. So style is a tubular slender stalk which connects the stigma to the ovary. And next part is the ovary. So student, ovary is a swollen basal portion composed of one or many carpal fused together, and the inner cavity of the ovary may be single chambered or divided into several chambered. It is locules, and each containing a number of rounded bodies. And student, the ovules, the rounded bodies which are present inside the ovary, these are called as the ovules, and the placenta attaches the ovules to the wall of the ovary. Okay, so these are the ovules and placenta. So what is placenta? So placenta is the surface of the carpal to which the ovules are attached. So student, this is all about today's video. I hope you all have understood this today's topic, that is sexuality in flower and general description of the floral parts. That's it for today's video. Thank you.